Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Lewicki. Polish airspace has once again been violated by what's most likely smuggling balloons from Belarus. The operational command of the Polish Armed Forces issued a statement saying that the military remains on standby to ensure the security of Polish airspace.
On the night of January 31st into February 1st, 2026, Belarus made another attempt to reconnoiter and test the response of Polish air defense systems, which registered balloon-like objects entering Polish airspace. The flights were monitored by military radar systems and did not pose a threat to the security of Polish airspace.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said in his evening address that Ukraine is getting ready for the upcoming round of peace talks, where it will focus on results. The Ukrainian president also commented on the mass blackout that hit Ukraine on Saturday, saying that current evidence does not suggest that it was caused by sabotage or by a cyber attack.
We are in regular contact with the US side and are waiting for them to provide specifics on further meetings. Ukraine is ready to work in all effective formats. What matters is the results, and that meetings happen. We are counting on meetings next week and are preparing for them. A technological accident has occurred on our power grid. 2 lines between Romania and Moldova and within the territory of Ukraine stopped operating. The causes are being thoroughly investigated. As of now, there is no confirmation of external interference or a cyber attack. There is more evidence suggesting that weather conditions caused icing of the lines and automatic shutdowns. The situation is most difficult in Kyiv. There is a significant heating deficit. Almost 300-500 buildings in different districts are without heating.
An increasing number of European countries are exploring shared nuclear deterrence in response to the Russian threat. While discussions are still in their early stages, the German chancellor confirmed on Saturday that talks could accelerate soon amid ongoing instability in transatlantic relations with the United States.
Is Europe going to have its own nuclear umbrella? This appears to be the budding discussion across European capitals this week. From Berlin,
it is not at our discretion and not within our jurisdiction to have nuclear weapons in Germany. However, this does not mean that we don't also discuss joint nuclear deterrence with other European countries. These discussions are taking place, but they are still in their infancy.
To pledges from the Dutch coalition to, quote, take a constructive stance on strengthening a European nuclear deterrent. Sweden, too, is looking towards France and the United Kingdom to spearhead efforts for a potential pan-European nuclear deterrent, though the country's prime minister also emphasizes that talks on the matter are just beginning.
We should not get ahead of events. These discussions are ongoing now, and as a NATO member, we are fully involved in everything. We have not seen any need to place nuclear weapons in Sweden in peacetime, in the same way as one can have foreign forces in Sweden in peacetime.
According to experts, Sweden is well placed for nuclear discussions considering its post-war stint in nuclear research.
Into various elements, including plutonium production, including potential designs for nuclear weapon, placing on delivery vehicles that lasted into the 1950s and early 1960s. The decision was made not to proceed.
Currently, the US, France and the United Kingdom are the only NATO members who own nuclear stockpiles, with nuclear sharing policy being spearheaded by Washington. Experts have stressed that there is a level of skepticism regarding the current arrangement's durability.
The actions of the Trump administration over the past year in the United States have backed us into a corner to think about this. If we cannot rely on the United States for extended deterrence, where the US to withdraw its security guarantees, leaving a vacuum there would be very, very dangerous for Europe.
Last year, France began floating the idea of reinforcing European security by extending its nuclear umbrella to its allies on the continent, mainly NATO's eastern flank, with additional cooperation from the UK.
Within the next few years, we need to build autonomous defense capabilities for Europeans. I welcome the very broad consensus that emerged from our discussions, and which, in my eyes, marks a great and profound strategic awakening for Europeans.
Which experts note is imperative to strengthening Europe's position within the NATO alliance.
cooperation, which would include countries along the eastern flank, France and the UK. That would be something that would strengthen overall deterrence. And as I said, something that would be parallel to the activities in NATO, but I think something that would also be noted by Russia.
According to General Philip Breedlove, US failure to come to Ukraine's defenses after Russia's military came knocking in 2022 shows that nuclear blackmail still works.
Russia has threatened over and over with its nuclear capabilities. And what happens is the West backs up. The West backs up. The environment created by not responding and working through these problems, but simply backing up, encourages growth in the nuclear enterprise.
To that end, it may be the time for Europe to start stockpiling too. For TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
President Donald Trump says he is confident the United States will conclude a deal with Denmark and Greenland over the use of the Arctic island to protect US national security. The remarks came following a period of tension over the island between the US and its NATO allies.
We have started a negotiation, and I think it's pretty well agreed to. I mean, they want us to do it. I think it's going to be a good deal for everybody. Very important deal. Actually, from a national security point of view, very, very important deal. I think we're going to make a deal.
Crowds gathered in Copenhagen on Saturday as hundreds of Denmark's war veterans staged a silent protest in front of the US Embassy. The former soldiers protest against Donald Trump's remarks belittling their sacrifice during NATO operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. Our correspondent Sonia Agata-Biszczan reports from the Danish capital.
A silent march from the citadel in Copenhagen to the United States Embassy, because Danish veterans say they lack words to describe how much it hurts that their contributions in what they describe as the fight for freedom, peace and democracy seem to be forgotten in the White House. The demonstration that gathered masses of people from across Denmark on Saturday follows US President Donald Trump's claims that NATO allies held back from the front line in Afghanistan. Denmark was among the first countries to commit troops to support US operations in Afghanistan in 2002, and 44 of its soldiers died during the war.
Sorry, I was very emotional about it, because I feel so betrayed. Sorry, can you stop? I feel very disappointed because we were many Danes who did our duty as we felt it.
Actually, Denmark was in front line in Helmand province all the time, and I lost like one of my good friends in a roadside bomb accident, so I don't feel good about it.
Following Donald Trump's remarks regarding NATO allies, 44 flags were placed in front of the United States Embassy in Copenhagen to commemorate the fallen Danish soldiers. The flags were later removed, reportedly by the US Embassy's personnel, further fueling the divide. Eventually, the US ambassador is said to have reinstated them here himself.
I saw it. I think really it was a mistake. And they had done everything they could to remake it. So we are not, it's not America. I love America. It's only Donald Trump. And I'm so happy to see there's also American flags here today, because this is another manifestation about America. It's against Donald Trump. That's very, very, very important, because we have always been and we will always be a great friend with America.
And aside from US President's remarks regarding NATO allies in Afghanistan, Danish veterans are also at a loss for words regarding another issue. Donald Trump repeatedly said that he wants Greenland semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. Danish veterans believe that this shows a lack of respect for Denmark's sovereignty and the right to self-determination of Greenland's people.
Keep your hands off Greenland, Mr. Trump.
Donald Trump's comments regarding NATO allies in Afghanistan did not spark a reaction only here in Denmark. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said that no one has the right to mock the service of the country's soldiers. Over 33,000 Polish soldiers and Defense Ministry personnel participated in the mission in Afghanistan. 43 Polish soldiers and 1 civilian who worked as a paramedic were killed during the time. And while the United States may forget about the Allies' contributions, they're distinctly remembered here in Europe. From Copenhagen, for TVP World, I'm Sonia Agata-Biszczan.
In Slovakia, a top government official resigned on Saturday after the newly released Epstein files revealed the nature of his exchanges with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The recorded correspondence featured multiple references to women in questionable contexts, although the Slovakian diplomat denied any wrongdoing in this regard.
On Saturday, top Slovakian politician and former Minister of Foreign Affairs Miroslav Lajčák resigned from his post. In the 3.5 million Epstein files released on Friday, the name Lajčák reportedly appears 346 times, and the name Miro, as Epstein often called him for short, appears in the files for over 700 times. When the first part of the communication between Lajčák and Epstein was published in the US last November, Prime Minister Robert Fico's coalition partners called on the removal of Lajčák, saying that he represents a security risk. Lajčák defended himself, saying communications with the convicted sex predator only revolved around his diplomatic duties. But the newly published documents prove otherwise. The tone of the messages suggests the exchange was rather friendly, and Epstein bantered with Lajčák about women while discussing Lajčák's meetings with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Robert Fico has since accepted his resignation, but praised Lajčák as a great diplomat and said Slovakia was losing an incredible source of experience in diplomacy and foreign policy.
A record-breaking Arctic blast is paralyzing Central and Eastern Europe, with temperatures plunging into the low 20s below 0 Celsius. The harshest winter in years has already claimed the lives of almost 40 people in Poland alone.
In Gdańsk, the rarely frozen Motława River is inspiring sightseers and skaters of all ages.
Short walks provided it's not slippery. The cold doesn't scare us, but the slipperiness does.
And in Warsaw, a reminder that these temperatures used to be the norm.
You haven't experienced winters like this before, but we remember this is exactly the kind of winter we used to have years ago.
Most of Central and Eastern Europe is bracing for a brutal Arctic blast that could see temperatures drop as low as minus 30 degrees. Experts warn that on Monday and Tuesday the freeze will peak, potentially setting a new record for all-time temperature lows in the region. To the west, Germany's largest inland lake, the Müritz, has frozen over. And to the north, Lithuania is bracing for its most extreme winter weather in over a decade, as temperatures are set to plunge to a bone-chilling minus 32 degrees. This life-threatening cold follows a week of heavy freezing rain that has already turned the country's roads into dangerous skating rinks. And to the south, in Ukraine, an alert has been issued as hundreds of thousands of residents are still without heat following Russian strikes.
We know people who are in a much more difficult situation than we are now. These are people on the front line and city residents who are without heat and electricity for days at a time. We are on duty and doing our job.
The cold is even affecting space exploration, as NASA announces that the weekend cold snap is chilling launch plans at Cape Canaveral. If the cold prevents Artemis from lifting off on schedule, a secondary crew will have to stand down until late February. But there is one place in Europe celebrating the cold, Cortina, Italy, where the 2026 Winter Olympics are scheduled to begin on February 6th. For TVP World, Randy Potts.
And with temperatures falling to almost minus 26 degrees Celsius throughout Poland, the country is experiencing one of the coldest winters in decades. TVP World went out into the streets of Warsaw to ask people what they think about the current weather conditions.
It's freezing. But anyway, it's very nice weather today. It's sunny. It's not humid, so it's pretty dry, which helps. Even though like it's I don't know how many degrees it is, but it's not that bad.
I can't feel my face or my feet. It's minus 12 degrees right now, quite windy. It's hard to talk. It's a bit hard to breathe. But a walk is still a good idea.
There hasn't been a winter like this one for several years, but this is the kind of winter we used to have back in the day.
For now, we're intimidated by these minus 30-degree temperatures. I'm intimidated too, but since my friends dragged me to the exhibition at the Royal Castle today, I'm delighted to be able to walk around the Krakowskie Przedmieście street in Warsaw.
And with this, we conclude our news bulletin. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.